This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. I had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Who's got a hammer?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Down goes Cuomo. Down goes Andrew Cuomo. Yes, the governor, former governor now, of New York, Andrew Cuomo, is gone. He is officially put in his 2-week notice. Crab dance. We got him. No, I didn't have anything to do with it. But no, the 11 victims got him. Apparently, I was reading around that they had enough votes to impeach and convict and kick Cuomo out of office as a result of the Me Too allegations from, again, the 11 different credible sources of women who say that they were inappropriately touched by Andrew Cuomo. And so, hey, we got him. Got him. But I'm an Italian. Hey, being Italian is no excuse for being a creep. Just saying. I know Italians. There are many good people. They're not like Andrew Cuomo. And in reality, of course, what was worse than I shouldn't say like make a comparison here, but I'm going to make a bad comparison. What's worse, and it's already really bad to sexually harass your staff and just random women, but what he did with the people who are, the nursing homes, for example, in New York during the start of COVID, disaster. Absolute disaster. People as a result. So I'm Italian and I don't like to kind of contact touchy and feely stuff. I get you. Yeah, throws this entire ethnicity under the bus. That is after, of course, producing a video of Joe Biden also getting touchy feely and saying, look, he did it. Why can't I get away with it? So I love how they're all just throwing each other under the bus for being creepy old men. It is what it is. But hey, he's gone. So there you go. There you go. Disaster? Yes. Already. Seriously? Oh no, here we go again. Periodic buffering. Do we? Oh God. Here's we do have an issue with that. My connection, not good. My connection to YouTube seems, but no, no. Nope, that's on YouTube's end, folks. My internet's working just fine. We got apparently a YouTube problem. Apparently already, YouTube is mad at me. It's not my fault, though. I didn't do it. Not my fault. My internet is working just perfectly fine. All right, well, it's a little slow. A little slow, but it works. I don't know. I don't know what y'all complaining about. 144p. Yeah, I know, disaster. But hey, not my. Hassan fans, I know you exist here in my chat. All right. I know some of you are there. Hassan and I both have Spectrum. I don't know how Hassan and I are like completely across the country from each other. But Hassan's internet, he deals with the same provider that I do. Destroy regional monopolies. Yeah. So we both deal with that garbage. Fun. All right, let me see if I can do a little something with this here. Already, I can't even. The best internet ever had was a Nelnet company in Lincoln, Nebraska, of all places. Hey, some of that local, some of those local municipal, I don't know if that's municipal, but municipal stuff is actually pretty good. I don't know. We're going to do the story, though, anyway. We're going to do stories, and if you miss it, then I guess you're just going to have to check out the clips. That's all I can say. See, working on Twitch, just fine. So YouTube viewers, go over to Twitch, our Twitch channel, and check that out. If we're having problems with, YouTube being terrible. Yeah, local internet, good. Big corporate internet, bad. All right. Anyway, let's go. We got some stories. We're going to talk about just some fun stuff that I missed from over the weekend. We got ridiculous conservatives. We got people melting down. We got COVID deniers. We got Mike Pillow, the symposium, the cyber symposium, which apparently is going just about as well as my live stream on YouTube. So, The YouTuber send Jeff the Bezos bucks. Can't win. Can't win. All right, anyway. That is not a threat. I'm just saying, not a threat. All right. Far-right preacher and televangelist Joshua Feuerstein says we need to wear the masks or get a vaccines because they got Jesus.
I understand, and let me speak now to the cameras around the world, to every pastor that's watching this broadcast, to every Christian that is cowered in your home. I realize that for this last year that maybe you've been fed fear and fear and fear, but the Bible says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. You have a sound mind. You don't have to wear the mask. You got Jesus. You don't need the vaccine. You got Jesus.
You heard him, folks. You got Jesus. And as a bonus, if you follow Feuerstein's advice by not wearing the mask and not getting a vaccine, you're going to meet Jesus likely very soon. All right, so Now, look, obviously, you shouldn't listen to this guy. Why? Because apparently Jesus alone was 633,116 Americans that have died so far from coronavirus. And this count is likely to be too low. Too low. And what if, and hear me out, what if God exists and the tools that he sent us were masks and vaccines? Why isn't Jesus protecting us from the virus? You idiots. We sent you masks and vaccines. That's from us. Now, look, I don't personally believe in religion. I think y'all know that. I think it's nothing more than outdated explanations for things that we don't now, or we didn't know then, but we know now. And maybe as a way of trying to make sense of the things we currently don't know, vastness of the universe and the insignificance of our lives. There's also a community aspect to it, yada, yada. People are born into whatever, right? Now, I say that because my beliefs notwithstanding, I think it's totally fine to be religious. Do you boo? What is not fine is being Joshua Fierstein. Because Joshua Fierstein is stupid. And Joshua Fierstein is going to get you killed. That's it. Don't listen to dumb people. Don't listen to grifters. Both of whom seem almost exclusive to the right wing side of the political spectrum. Leftist religious people, by the way, are awesome and based. Just saying. Right-wing religious people tend to follow grifters and use religion to justify hatred of marginalized people, like Feuerstein. Remember, this guy became famous by declaring that Starbucks hates Jesus. Starbucks, a corporation. Remember, this is after they changed the design of their cups. Imagine getting so triggered and outraged over cups. Seriously. So, Feuerstein is an OG dipshit culture warrior who is grifting people, and now he's telling people, oh no, don't get a vaccine, don't wear a mask, at a time where, well, you've got the Delta variant that is spreading amongst the unvaccinated. So, sorry. Now, I'm going to bet that this guy is most likely vaccinated. Why? Because like a lot of these grifters, he ain't going to practice what he preaches, because turns out you can't grift if you're dead. So, you know. And they know that. They know that. And they know that. They know that. All right. More. Imagine what Jesus would say seeing this. Jesus would say, buffering. You better internet scrub. No. All right. Fuck Cuomo. Indeed. I agree. From that, we go to our glorious ex-president. And we'll do Trump on Bongino. Welcome, YouTube refugees. YouTube is being ridiculous. So, all right. Former President Donald Trump joined Dan Bongino on Saturday for an interview on Fox News. And there was one part, well, there's a lot of parts that actually raised some eyebrows. But here's one of them. Take a look.
Well, first of all, could you imagine if I were president right now and we had this massive attack from the coronavirus? You know, now they like to call it they have new names and they'll have other new names, but it's exactly what we had. We had the same thing. If that were me, they'd be saying, what a horrible thing, what a horrible job. I don't ever hear that, you know, and these are numbers in some cases that are equivalent to what it was, but we don't hear that.
Oh, there's more. There's more. He then talks about the vaccines. He says, I think I have to be a big vaccine fan because I'm the one who got it done so quickly. We've got it in less than 9 months. It was supposed to take 5 years. They would have never gotten it done. So I'm a big fan. At the same time, and people have to make that choice for themselves and get it done. And they're being protected. And the vaccines. And I also, though, feel strongly here. There are some people who do not want to do it. And I really believe in somebody's choice, somebody's freedom. And that's the way it is. So you got some contradictions there, and they're not juicy. They're not juicy contradictions. And it was an unmitigated disaster. And will have consequences for years to come. Mostly bad leadership from Democratic cities. Let me just tell you, New York was a terrible example in the beginning with what had happened with Cuomo and especially with COVID cases. And he was able to turn that around, but it was a disaster. And of course, you're going to have, I don't think any city really did all that well, honestly. So fair criticism is absolutely fair. I don't think anybody really was prepared for a pandemic of this magnitude. But you can really tell once people actually did get on the ball and start taking this seriously, a lot of the more conservative areas of the country definitely lagged behind. And that is bad leadership. All right. Let's move on. On Monday, a video surfaced of an unmasked man having a bit of a meltdown at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Take a look.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
The American spirit!
Period.
The American liberty!
Period.
Nobody has take up for fucking freedom!
Oh my
You
God!
motherfuckers! That's what America's about!
America.
Rise up! Rise up!
Bro.
Rise up! America!
Period.
Bunch of fucking you want a revolution? Stand up!
And walk. Let's go. Walk. Walk.
You got this.
Walk. There are children around.
Okay. Look, I can't say for sure. That guy's probably loaded. I mean, seriously, Hospital Association found that nearly 94,000 new child COVID-19 cases were reported last week. That is a huge increase. Now, in some areas, up to 20% of hospital space is now being taken up by children who've gotten pretty sick. Dr. Mark Klein, the physician-in-chief Children's Hospital New Orleans, told ABC's Good Morning America on Monday, quote, "We are hospitalizing record numbers of children. Half the children in our hospital today are under 2 years of age. Most others are between 5 and 10, too young to be vaccinated just yet." They also note that while severe outcomes of COVID-19 infection, this is Dr. John Brownstein, an epidemiologist at Boston Children's Hospital and an ABC News contributor, said, while severe outcomes of COVID-19 infection in pediatric populations continue to be relatively low compared to adults, the current exponential growth in hospitalizations is a very worrisome trend. As the remaining population ineligible for the vaccine, children will be, unfortunately, the main vectors of virus spread, creating risk to both themselves and the rest of the population. So here you have a really good reason to wear the mask and to get a vaccine. You got the kids. They don't have a choice whether or not to get vaccinated. This isn't, like I said, the random chud who does absolutely have a choice and chooses to be stupid and spread around a virus or to become a walking petri dish. All right? No, these are children. These are children that are taking up hospital space. And by the way, it's once again gotten so bad in some of these COVID-affected places among the unvaccinated that you have hospitals that are slammed, that people can't go in to get cancer treatments, okay? They can't go in and get routine procedures now because there's just no room. So once again, doctors, nurses are getting absolutely slammed as a result. And again, these are people that are either not choosing to get vaccinated or and the rest are children that don't have a choice because it hasn't been, the vaccine has not been expanded to being able to go to people who are 12 years or younger. And so this is the problem. This is the problem. That's why you shouldn't listen to morons like Freedom McDumbfuck in the video, okay? The guy would look more at home with a sandwich board emblazoned with the phrase, "The end is nigh." Okay. No, masking isn't an infringement of your freedom. It's at most an inconvenience, and at the very least, a common courtesy. If you're in a high-risk area, don't be like this guy. Protect your family. Wear a mask. Don't be stupid. All right. Moving on. Why isn't the government informing people that it's possible to get COVID and spread it even when you're vaccinated? But they are, actually. We all know that breakthrough infections exist. It should be common knowledge. And maybe it's the media's fault that it's not common knowledge. Like, they don't talk about it enough. Maybe, I don't know. But from what I've known, breakthrough infections are an incredibly small percentage. And breakthrough infections also, while they do happen, you're much less likely to end up in the hospital having severe COVID symptoms, and you're less likely to die as well when you've had a vaccine. So that's the explanation of that. But the government, look, you go to the CDC website, it'll absolutely tell you that breakthrough infections happen but are rare. And that is the government telling you. So, yes. What if the next variant is more damaging spreading than Delta? You mean Delta Plus? We'll have to see. That's what I'm concerned about, of course. All right. Mike Pillow is having a rough start when it comes to his much hyped cyber symposium. So no, everybody, it's the symposium for the cyber, and the whole point of it is, of course, it's supposed to bring the evidence that Donald Trump had actually won the election, but it was stolen by the Chinese somehow, and it was again supposed to bring all that evidence to life. But unfortunately, that might not happen, as they appear to have run into a few hiccups. Here's Mike Lindell explaining.
This was attacked. The whole technology was attacked. We expected that, but we do have a backup plan. It'll be probably another 5 minutes. And I want all you guys to know that out there, that this is why, because I need to get the word out. We can't even get the word out to the people that are frankspeech.com because they blocked the thing. But this is part of what I'm going to talk about today. This is the cover-up. This is the absolute cover-up of the worst crime in history. And we're going to talk about all this today. This is and you're going to see all kinds of things. We're going to educate everybody. We're going to show them we're going to be running. I'll show you over here. You see this data that's running there. That's cyber data from what I've got. Let's see if it's moving. Yeah, it's not rotating yet, but that'll go in an endless stream for days. And we put 6 states up there. But we're not going to start the regular program, though, because I want to start, because it's all educational and it all goes in sequence. I will say this. Everybody, tonight you're going to see something at 7 o'clock that it's going to change the world.
A couple hours. Got a few hours, Mike. Okay. Look, we're going to have the thing, but unfortunately the thing got blocked with the other thing because they're attacking us. Who's they? Who's they? Is it China? Is it China that's attacking the United States, the Biden administration? Who's they? Is there a certain question you'd like to ask, Mr. Lindell? Like a certain question? I'm just asking questions. I don't know what you mean by they. Would you please like to expand on that just a little bit, Mr. Lindell? Okay. But it was the hackers. You understand? They stole the election, and now they're covering up the truth by attacking my symposium, and it was the hackers and not at all my complete and total incompetence. No. Yes, and the dog ate your homework too, Mike, of course. Same thing all the time. I've got the evidence. It's right here. I'm gonna expose it on my documentary, and then I'm gonna expose it at the cyber symposium. Oops! Oh, looks like it got hacked. Oh no! Oh, my evidence. It's all gone. Oh, look, this is not the first time Lindell claimed that he was hacked. Okay, back in April, you remember when he was doing like the so-called Frankathon for his social media website, which doesn't allow you to curse, but it's supposed to be free speech. But you can't talk bad about God, and you can't swear. It's real weird. Remember that disastrous launch? Oh, well, obviously, hackers. It was a hacker's fault. He said, we were attacked by every country, everything, probably the biggest ever. I don't know if it were bots or what. That was after Lindell claimed that he had spent millions of dollars on cybersecurity because he expected it to be a victim of cyber attacks, except that, apparently you didn't spend millions of dollars on cybersecurity, or you hired a cybersecurity firm that had no idea what they were doing, because this keeps happening. This keeps happening. Weird. It's the excuse. It's the same excuse. They're attacking me. They're after me. The hackers, the media. It's a conspiracy. They're always after me. Or maybe he's just incompetent and doesn't know how to create a functional social media website and actually hire people that know how to do it, who know how to actually create good, viable cybersecurity. Not only that, this is the same person who claimed that his phone was hacked because somebody got his phone number off the internet. Come on. Ridiculous. He also, by the way, threatened to have the guy who called in during his live stream, who called his phone, to get arrested. Here's what he said. This was Salon. He was talking to Salon at the time, and said that my phone has been hacked. I have guys here. We have protection. We have cyber guys. Yes, it was hacked, and yes, we have proof. What proof? He doesn't really say anything. In a follow-up interview, Lindell seemed to recognize that he'd been trolled by a prankster, suggesting that he had hoped to pursue criminal charges against somebody named Blackman. Ron Blackman, host of a British podcast, the Macron Show. And he said, and this is funny because he's saying, we found out who the guy is, and we're gonna try to get him arrested. It's the same guy. We're investigating him. When asked whether the police or the justice system would be interested in arresting a prank caller, Lindell hung up. Sad baby. Yes, his website was open for cross-scripting attacks. Yeah. Yep. It's so bad. Look, I took classes for cybersecurity. I know a little bit about the cyber, although admittedly I forgot like most of it. But even I could probably end up making a more secure website than Mike Lindell, because he has no idea what he's doing. None. Insane. Hey everybody, crack is whack. Don't do crack. 100%. This guy has no idea on how to run anything technology related. Again, he thinks that looking at publicly available information is the same as hacking. His entire conspiracy is that China somehow hacked the election and hacked into voting machines and changed vote totals, but these machines were not at all connected to the internet. If they were, yeah, then yes, that they would be vulnerable. But they were not connected to the internet. Numerous Republican officials, Trump officials, have noted this. Like, yeah, no, these are not connected to the internet. There's absolutely no way a Chinese hacker could access these voting machines at all. Again, impossible to do. You would actually, if you wanted to change vote totals, then you'd have to have somebody in the room. Which, by the way, that's probably going to be his next conspiracy. That, oh, no, it was the Chinese. They hacked the voting machines because they were literally in the room. And they were in the room. Oh, is China in the room there with you, Mr. Lindell? But no, it's China, deep agents, part of the Chinese Communist Party, and they were in the room, and they had the flash drives, and they went and they changed the vote totals, and so that's what happened, and we've got the evidence, and I'm going to show it in another shitty YouTube video. You know, it's funny. His next conspiracy is, you know, if he goes with that, very likely he will. His fans are going to eat it up. They're going to eat it up. Why? Because they're desperately trying to cope. It's just more cope than seed. The CCP. Yes. All right. So now that we've had the fun stuff. Oh, I smelled a faint whiff of bamboo. And my suspicions were immediately aroused. Something. I'm sure something was aroused there. All right. Anyway. So now, giving government assistance. Watch how fast the vaccine numbers go up. They don't want socialism, but I have no problem taking everything the government gets down. You know what I saw? There was a recent poll on this, where it turns out if the government does mandates for, like, for example, okay, you need a vaccine to travel. You need a COVID-19 vaccine to travel, which, by the way, has been used for other vaccines, right? You know, COVID-19 vaccine for school, which some colleges have already, you know, put forward, right? You start doing that stuff, mandating vaccines and stuff for that kind of thing, well, then the number of people getting vaccinated or who plan to get vaccinated actually increases. So that's an interesting policy discussion that people have. All right. The next conspiracy is Delta. It's a Democratic plot. Paul Ryan is half there. You sure it's not Rand Paul? I haven't seen anything about Paul Ryan, but I know Rand Paul is almost there. He's like embracing conspiracy nuttery. All right. When you travel to some place in the world, you have to get vaccinated? Yeah, absolutely. During polio pandemic, you had to present either proof of vaccination, scar from vaccine, or pox face to prove that you already had it. That was their vaccine passports. Yeah, so vaccine passports have existed for decades. Longer than that. Absolutely longer than that. So everybody is freaking out about that. The so-called, passport. You've already had them. And it actually went a long way to eradicating some of these older viruses. And here's the thing that just blows my mind. You say you want to get back to normal. You say you want to get, back to, get rid of the mask mandates and all that stuff. Well, there's one surefire way to do it. Everybody gets vaccinated. Everybody get your vaccine, and the sooner everybody does that, the sooner we can all return back to life and ditch the mask mandates and, get the economy, get everybody back to work with it should be, get the economy rolling. Oh, right, but they don't want that because there are people in the Republican Party that want to sabotage Joe Biden, which I think Joe Biden would be pretty good at sabotaging himself. I don't think he's quite done it yet, but he has done a lot of things that I wouldn't have done, a lot of things that I'm not in favor of. Continuing like things like, what is it? I forget the Trump deportation. He's been continuing with that. Of course, and there's promises about $2,000. And of course, what happened to the public option? I don't know idea. And so, some of that stuff. But they want to stop him from getting anything done so they can get voted back into power. As usual. It always comes down to that. Sabotage Democrats so Republicans can get back into power. All right, well, there you go. Like continuing Stephen Miller's border policy. Yeah, like I said, the mass deportations. Yeah. All right. Buckle up, everybody. It's about to get bad. The International Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, has come out with its bleakest new report yet. And basically, we're all screwed. You can all go home. We're all screwed. And that's it. No, okay. So it's not good, though. It's pretty bad. How bad? Well, the new report warns that we will likely miss our goals for reducing the eventual rise in temperature. Temperatures are likely to rise by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, bringing extreme weather. And of course, it adds that the changes are now both inevitable and irreversible. So, to get into more details from the 3,000 plus page report from 234 scientists, said that warming is already accelerating sea level rise, shrinking ice, and worsening extremes such as heat waves, droughts, floods, and storms. Tropical cyclones, as a result, are getting stronger and wetter, while Arctic sea ice is dwindling in the summer and permafrost is thawing. All of these trends will get worse, according to the report. Now, permafrost, that's a double whammy right there. For one, ancient viruses. Are you ready for those? Are you ready for the ancient viruses frozen in the ice to come out to play? That's what's going to happen. So that's a result of permafrost melting and also trapped carbon dioxide that has been encased in that ice in the permafrost for, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years. Yikes. So we are going to end up with more pandemics from the ancient bacteria and viruses, food disruption, loss of coastline from sea level rise. And so all of these things, which are just, they're not good. They're very, very bad. Let's just put that into perspective here. It's really bad. And yes, it was all preventable. However, now at this point, it is no longer preventable. now the only thing that we can do is to mitigate the worst, mitigate it from getting even worse, because we are in for some real big, nasty changes. Not good. Not good. So now, an article from The Guardian points out that this summer, a lot of the places hit by weather disasters were not used to getting extremes, and many of them happen to be wealthier. So that's different here. So normally, up until now, climate change has really affected poorer nations more so than wealthier nations. Now we're seeing it catch up. So places like, for example, Germany and Belgium that are dealing with catastrophic flooding. We have 116 degree, heat records happening in Portland, Oregon. We've got temperatures in Canada, an entire Canadian town literally burnt to the ground as a result of being in a heat dome, gigantic wildfires, once again in California. Now you have southern Europe that is seeing massive temperatures, more wildfires, and the summer extremes is only getting started. It's going to get worse year after year after year. So the kind of heat wave that happened once every 50 years now happens once a decade. And if the world warms to an additional 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, that is 1 degree Celsius, it will happen twice every 7 years, according to the report. They said, as the planet warms, places will get hit more, not just by extreme weather, but by multiple climate disasters that occur simultaneously. For examples, heat waves, droughts, and wildfires all compounding at the same time. Boy, does that sound fun! Real fun! Hey, but at least oil companies got record profits. Some harm from climate change, dwindling ice sheets, rising sea levels, and changes from the oceans as they lose oxygen and become more acidic, are irreversible for centuries to millennia, according to the report. So, yeah. Rising sea levels from the dwindling ice sheets, of course. Warmer temperatures from that. You have more acidic oceans, which are, of course, say goodbye to lobster, say goodbye to shellfish, because the shells are literally dissolving as we speak. Gigantic ocean dead zones. Again, it gets worse and worse and worse. In fact, report co-author Bob Kopp of Rutgers said the world is locked in to get to 6 to 12 inches of sea level rise by mid-century. So that's for a half a foot to a foot of water. Now, maybe some of you think, it's not so bad. It's only a foot. Foot of sea level rise. Imagine your city under a foot of water. Just a foot, right? Can't do much under a foot of water. You can't really drive. Your house will be flooded, very likely. Stores are going to be flooded. Whole cities and towns. I mean, what do you do if your town's constantly under a foot of water? Well, then you can't live there. You're going to have to abandon the city, abandon the town. And those people, well, guess what? Those people are going to have to go somewhere, which means migration. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people would have to travel inward to higher parts of the country. Think about it. If you lose just even a mile of coastline as a result of sea level changes, but you do it around the entire country, well, how much of that would be just devastating from a human perspective? Losing all of that area around the entire United States, not just the entire United States, but also around the world. The scale of destruction is unimaginable, unfathomable. But here it is. And by the way, if you care about the economy, your only concern is, but what about the jobs? What about the economy? The stonks. What do you think that kind of destruction is going to do for the economy? What's going to happen to the fisheries when you have these acidic oceans and all of these dead zones where no fish can survive because there's no oxygen. No crab and lobsters, as I mentioned, right? All of that stuff, that is in store for us. Irreversible. Irreversible. We must decarbonize immediately. Even so, the only thing we can now do, because we can't suck the carbon back out, we do not have that technology that is at least cost effective. So what are we going to do, right? Well, we have to mitigate so that we don't make things worse. And by we, I mean governments, obviously. Honestly, this shouldn't fall on the regular average person, regular average human being. It is not the responsibility of just one person. This has to be a government. This has to be the world coming together and working together in order to solve this crisis. Okay. Only, by the way, the report notes that only rapid and drastic reductions in greenhouse gases in this decade can prevent climate breakdown, with every fraction of a degree of further heating likely to compound accelerating effects. World leaders at the stark findings must force new policy measures as a matter of urgency to shift the global economy to a low carbon footing. Governments from 197 countries will meet this November in Glasgow for vital UN climate talks called COP26. Each nation is asked to come to COP26 with fresh plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to a level that will limit global heating to no more than 1.5 C above pre-industrial levels. The ambition of the Paris Climate Agreement and the goal of the IPCC emphasized was still possible, but only just. Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, had this warning, saying, quote, "This report is a code red for humanity. The alarm bells are deafening, and the evidence is irrefutable. Greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel burning, the deforestation are choking our planet, putting billions of people at immediate risk." He also called for a reduction or an end to coal plants and a new fossil fuel exploration and development, and for governments, investors, and businesses to pour all efforts into a low carbon future. This report must sound a death knell for coal and fossil fuels before they destroy our planet. I just have to note that the American government right now, Senate just passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill with all the climate stuff taken out in order to get Republican votes and the votes of people like Joe Manchin, who are literally owned by the coal industry, by ExxonMobil as well. You had an Exxon lobbyist getting caught on camera saying, yeah, we pretty much tell Manchin and Sinema what to do. Well, I call their office. I have a great relationship with them. Meaning, of course, that Joe Manchin takes their money. And by the way, Joe Manchin also gets paid double his salary from investments in fossil fuels. And so that's why all the climate stuff has been taken out of the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And that's happening today. That passed the Senate today. And yet, this report is incredibly dire and says that we have to completely decarbonize as soon as we're able to, as soon as we can, in order to mitigate the worst. There's more. Doug Parr, chief scientist at Greenpeace UK, said, quote, "This is not the first generation of world leaders to be warned by scientists about the gravity of the climate crisis, but the last that can afford to ignore them. The increasing frequency, scale, and intensity of climate disasters that have scorched and flooded many parts of the world in recent months is a result of past inaction. Unless world leaders finally start to act in these warnings, things will get much, much worse." I have another quote. Stephen Cornelius, chief advisor on climate change at WWF, not the wrestling, the World Wildlife Fund or Federation, I believe, said, "This is a stark assessment of the frightening future that awaits us if we fail to act. With the world on the brink of irreversible harm, every fraction of a degree of warming matters. Limit the dangers." So, one more here. Ed Hawkins, a professor of climate science at the University of Reading and a lead author for the IPCC, said, "We are already experiencing climate change, including more frequent and extreme weather events. And many of these impacts, there is no going back." And I say that by saying, or by adding, there is no planet B. I'm sorry, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk aren't going to take us in their dick-shaped rockets, okay? We don't have anywhere else to go. Meaning we have to do something. The government has to do something. 70%, yes, 70%, 71%, well, all emissions are caused just by 100 corporations. This is a problem good policy and investment can fix. But why aren't we fixing it? Money in politics. There's too much private corporate money tied up in our political system. These people in Congress that are paid off, that get campaign donations, and you can openly look up who is getting these donations and from where, from what corporations. They are the ones that would rather put their re-election campaigns and continue to receive this corporate money from lobbyists than do something drastic in order to save the environment, save us, our civilization. It is the greed. We have got to get that greed, that money, that perverse incentive to act against the best interests of everyone out of our political system. If we don't, then we're going to do almost nothing. Pretty close to nothing as the world continues to burn. Not good. Money makes the world go around. It also makes it burn. Unfortunately. Sucks. World Wildlife Fund. Disaster. All right. Yeah. History shows us this is how civilizations fall. Unfortunately, history is not something that a lot of the right-wing part of the spectrum ever learned from. You guys are so against corrupt money, but you're letting rich, white, powerful guys in big pharma control society. I'm sorry, what? How? How exactly are we letting big? What are you talking about? Oh, like we don't want any corporate money. Big pharmaceutical companies, by the way, donate to both Democrats and Republicans. Yeah, we want all that money out too. We want I can't speak for you, but I want Medicare for all. That gets private corporations out of healthcare. Come on. I don't know if you've been watching this channel at all. By the way, we rail against corrupt politicians from both sides. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's where we're at. Yes, corrupt money on both sides. That's the problem. We got to get it all out. Union money, corporate money. No Koch money, no George Soros money. No money. Public financing of elections. Take the private money out. If corporations are people, they can be convicted and sent to the chair. Just saying. Yeah, I believe corporations are people. This is a great quote from, I forget his name now, Jim Hightower. I'll believe corporations are corporations are a person once Texas executes one. True. Very true. I don't know about you guys, but I think capitalism has some problems. This face stabber one. True. There are problems here. Big problems. Let's see. Virginia Thomas, aka Ice Dragon, says the only time the world's governments come together is for war. That is true, and very, very sad, but absolutely true. It's almost like bombing brown people tends to be more lucrative than actually doing something to help people, to build something. It's much easier to tear things down than it is to build things up, good things. Right. So thank you, Virginia Thomas. Though I really appreciate that. Very kind $5. Much appreciated. Ali Usher, thank you for cheering 10 bits, by the way, on Twitch. Much that. You. I think it's written somewhere that money is the root of all evil. Oh, well, yeah, where could that be written at? Weird. All right. Well, looks like that's all the time. I know I promised you the Blizzard story, Activision Blizzard, but I'll have to get to that tomorrow. Again, too long of a story, and I do not have the time to do that, unfortunately. May paper straw does not save the world. True. All right. Oh, can we celebrate the Marjorie Taylor Greene Twitter ban? It's only for a week. No, you guys are complicit in the system and encourage it. You obey everything the government says about COVID. All right. So there's a big conflation going on here. For one, science is real. I don't know if you know that. Science is real. The science behind COVID vaccines is absolutely real. The science behind the COVID itself, absolutely real. It's a real pandemic. And so don't get that confused for, oh, I think Big Pharma should be able to do anything it wants. No, the problem with Big Pharmaceutical is that it takes money from taxpayers and privatizes drugs. Public drugs, all right? So a good example of that is insulin. Insulin was supposed to be free. It was developed, and I forget the doctor that developed insulin, or I'm sorry, discovered insulin, but he wanted it to be free. And big pharmaceutical companies, they did come in and they privatized it. That is my problem with pharmaceutical companies. They privatize drugs and then sell them for insane prices in this country. You have to have government that is able to challenge the pharmaceutical companies. So don't conflate criticisms of the pharmaceutical industry as a whole versus criticizing the science, right? The science is absolutely sound when it comes to the effectiveness of the vaccines. The criticism of big pharmaceutical companies is that it's basically your life or your money. That's what's going on. Charles will always know the real science is for the libs. You're goddamn liberal science. mRNA vaccines have been around since 2008 with an application to treat cancer and research, Ebola, flu, and a number of other diseases. Interesting. I can say that weapons manufacturers' products perform well and still say that they're awful. Yeah. Megatron Taylor Green. No, Margarine Tater Greens. Margarine Tater Greens. August 10th, 2021, Marjorie Taylor Greene gets the longest Twitter suspension after falsely claiming COVID vaccines and masks. Yeah, the science is sound on that. Science is sound on vaccination. Margarine Trailer Gangrene. Oh, that's a good one. All right. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Please like and share the stream. I'll be back later. Majorly Tainted Green. You're coming up with good ones. You're coming up with good ones. God damn. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm so easily distracted. All right. Anyway, love you all. See y'all later. Have a good night. Stay safe. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you later.
Please clap.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.